So, of course, we're all friends, we're all God brothers, friends assembled here. This is a result of when I remember when I first went to visit His Divine Grace Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and was explaining to him some of the unfortunate situations that had arisen in the absence of Srila Prabhupada. He said, yes, it is intolerable to think that anyone would become separated from that, he said, that nectarine ocean which had love of God, which had been spread around the world by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. He said that great apostle of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if anyone becomes disconnected from that, then that's a very deplorable thing. So then at the time, he's saying, so it would be a happy thing if the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, who for one reason or another may have not found a place within the official fold of ISKCON, that they move amongst themselves and meet together. And he said, he introduced the conception of relief work, meaning, what is that relief? It's given in Srimad Bhagavatam, Tavakatam Rabatam Tapta Jivitam Kaviviridatam Kalmasha Avam Shravana Mangalam Srimadatam Bhuvi Buridajana. So what is it really? Relief work is to meet and discuss the nectarine topics of Hari or Krishna. That gives relief to all souls who are suffering in this world. They get some relief from that. Amrita, it's life-giving. It gives one eternal life. So he was just advising that the disciples of Srila Prabhupada and their friends go on with that sort of relief work that was inaugurated by Mahaprabhu. Jari Deko Tarika Ho Krishna Upadesh. That his advice is, wherever you go, whomever you meet, speak about Krishna. As is mentioned in Sri Guru and His Grace by Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he says that, and all other talks are redundant. All other talks in this world are redundant, except the talks about Krishna. So, I returned to America and met with so many friends who are, even some of them are here tonight, and we discussed also how we would go on in the absence of Srila Prabhupada, trying to remember his instructions and aspiring for the position of a faithful follower or servant. And sometimes I've also been fortunate enough that my God brothers and senior God brothers have come to encourage me in the service of Guru and Guranga. So, Sripad Swami Maharaj, I revere him as my senior God brother who's helping me in my devotion or faltering attempt at some inspired position of service to Sri Guru and Guranga. And also my God brother, Kishore Maharaj, he's just recently returned to America. And we were there together in Los Angeles. And it seems that some others here were also in Los Angeles a few years ago. And perhaps many of the devotees from that community will reassemble. But he's also come on this tour, and some other God brothers are coming, and we just thought that basically it would be nice for all of us to come together and engage in some Krishna Katha, the association of devotees. So perhaps Akoyananda Maharaj can select something appropriate to be read. Book stand. He's getting it. Book stand.
That's alright, you can give it like that. That's good.
That's good. You get it. Prabhu, do this thing now.
Ramesh?
Oh, feels like a cow of Kali.
Chakshuramitam Jima Tasmai Shri Guruvena Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Vishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Jarine Nirvesha Sundari Pasta Sudhir Devam Divyatanum Sichandavaram Bharaka Silanchitam Sandhanam Puram Sadekavanam Bharaka Shri Siddhanta Nidhyanam Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Vanditam Shubhadam Reksharam Yasishram Srikanabhikam Nikila Bhuvanamaya Chandravichanna Karti Vibhuddha Bahulam Meggamukti Mohanta Dati Siddhirata Vidiragara Jara Dhesadhani Vilasaduriti Nityam Bhakti Siddhanta Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shivastabhani Vijay Vidayitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vigana Dayane Pavave Namah Madhur Jodjava Prema Shirupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Purna Shakti Brigahaya Namastate Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtayi Dinatharine Rupanuga Virodhapa Siddhanta Dhanta Harine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sagar Vairagya Murtaye Vipalambara Sambodhe Parambudayate Nama Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Surupaya Upanuga Parayate Gauraya Virvara Bhumistang Nilesa Sajana Priya Vaishnava Sarva Goma Shri Jagannathaya Te Namah Vanchakapaturu Veshakripa Sindhu Evacha Gitanam Pavane Vyogashtabe Namo Namo Mahavadhanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Guru Tishe Namah Panchatatatmakam Krishnam Bhakti Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shakti He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Jatang Suratopam Guramam Nandamatirgati Vatsalavashapadambo Joshi Radha Madano Divya Vrindaranya Kokutamada Srimad Ratnagara Singhasanasto Srimad Shiraradha Shiragavindrepo Prasthali Visevyamanusman Srimad Rasarasaram Pibam Shivatadasita Karshan Vashani Gopi Gopinatha Shrestana Vindayatu Siddhed by Priya Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Paride Visatyavatvaino Vande Guru Nisha Bhaktan Isha Misha Bhatarakan Tat Prakashan Siddhat Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Sangakam Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janma Jasya Tovan Vayari Taratasthati Svabhigashalat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Mujante Jat Suryaha Tejo Bhani Bidang Jata Vinimyo Yat Pratisargo Amisha Dhangna Swena Sada Nirastakuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. Translation. O my Lord Sri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna, because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of fire, of water seen in fire, or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Vasudeva directly indicate Lord Sri Krishna, who is the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. This fact will be more explicitly explained in the text of this work. Sri Vyasadeva asserts herein that Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all others are his direct or indirect plenary portions or portions of the portion. Srila Jiva Goswami has even more explicitly explained the subject matter in his Krishna Sandarbha, and Brahma, the original living being, has explained the subject of Sri Krishna substantially in his treatise named Brahma Samhita. In Samaveda Upanishad it is also stated that Lord Sri Krishna is the divine son of Devaki. Therefore, in this prayer, the first proposition holds that Lord Sri Krishna is the primeval Lord, and if any transcendental nomenclature is to be understood as belonging to the absolute personality of Godhead, it must be the name indicated by the word Krishna, which means the all-attractive. In Bhagavad Gita, in many places, the Lord asserts himself to be the original personality of Godhead, and this is confirmed by Arjuna and also by great sages like Narad, Vyasa, and many others. In the Padma Purana also it is stated that out of the innumerable names of the Lord, the name of Krishna is the principal one. Vasudeva indicates the plenary portion of the personality of Godhead, and all the different forms of the Lord, being identical with Vasudeva, are indicated in this text. The name Vasudeva particularly indicates the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Sri Krishna is always meditated upon by the Paramahamsas, who are the perfected ones among those in the renounced order of life. So, I first beg to offer my respectful obeisances now, not only unto our Gurudev and all the illustrious acharyas of our divine sampradaya, but also to all God brothers, God sisters, and friends who have so kindly come tonight. And as Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj has mentioned, our only aspiration is to take up Krishna Katha, Hari Katha. Significantly, at the beginning of this Bhagavatam, our spiritual master, he began the introduction with the description of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although Vedavyas begins immediately offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord, our line, we find, is most necessarily only by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can we come to approach Srimad Bhagavatam and other allied scripture. And our Gurudev, he also established widely the deities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Sri Gaur Nitai, as we have the darshan today here. Prior to him, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he established Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana. Nityananda Prabhu did not seem to be present, but directly Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna. And we have heard that prior to him also, his father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was intimate friend of Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, he established Sri Gaur Gadadhar, or Gadadhar Pandit and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So here we have traced that the line of descent of our parampara system has come in a peculiar way. It has come according to the individual intrinsic contribution of those great acharyas, predecessors. And after Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we have also heard that Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he was a man of few disciples. Some say only one, some say he had 2 or 3. Not very clear to us. But we do know that his contribution to our sampradaya is none other than Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who in his turn, he, as everyone knows well, he initiated Gaudiya Math in India, and his illustrious disciples, particularly, of course, everyone knows our Gurudev, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and more recently, although his presence was known to Srila Prabhupada long before we even knew of Srila Prabhupada, there has been the appearance, at least to our perception, of His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. So this Srimad Bhagavatam, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, this first verse, I've heard it said that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur commented on this very verse for 1 month continuously. But we also had some fortune to be able to see his original, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta's original Bhagavatam. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has also given a peculiar commentary on this verse, very special. In general, our Gurudev, he established International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Then his Gurudev established Gaudiya Math, more stress on Mahaprabhu. So at the present time, in the devotional civilization at large, at least in the Western countries, which is actually the minority of devotional civilization, because the devotional civilization at large is in India. But in proportion to what was ever known before, of course, we must be aware, joyfully aware, that Srila Prabhupada, his work was the greatest miracle. inasmuch as those he could recruit for this great mission has never been seen before in history. Anyway, he established Krishna consciousness. Now, in his, as I was saying in the introduction of his Bhagavatam, he has, however, established that we cannot approach Lord Krishna without the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, as I was about to say, we find that there is a need, a great need, in the devotional civilization at large, especially in these countries, to establish or re-establish the preaching mission in a basic way, at least, of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If we directly approach Lord Krishna, that may be well and good for personalities of the status of Srila Vyasadeva, Bhagavan Vyasadeva. But we also find hints, even in the 11th canto, Bande te Mahapurusha Charanaravinda. This verse has been interpreted by many, by most, to mean, I offer my obeisances to Lord Ramachandra. But the acharyas in our line, such as Baladev Vidyabhushan and others, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they have Mahapurusha. They have given the meaning is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, the urgent necessity that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's glories should be preached again, not only again, but in a more specific way, if our Gurudev will give us the courage and fortitude to do so. This has become more and more glaring, as Maharaj mentioned, in the last 6-7 years, because we find that Krishna conception really is a hazy thing to us. To go directly to Krishna conception, it is so high and so dignified and so exalted, especially of our status. It is very difficult for us to immediately come. Initially it seems to be the easiest thing, Bhagavad Gita as it is. Immediately Bhagavad Gita, Krishna conception is there. But later it seems to become more hazy, because we find without the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu it is not possible to approach the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Similarly, without the grace of Nityananda Prabhu, it's not possible to approach the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not only Krishna. In this respect, it may sound a little new to some friends, but we find that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is more than Krishna. Just as Srila Prabhupada used to say, Krishna is very beautiful, but when Krishna is with Srimati Radharani, oh, that is special. That is much more. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being both, ekatmana vapi bhuvi dehage deham gatauta chaitanakam prakaramaduna choikamaktam radha bhava jyotishavalitam naumi Krishna swarupam. Internally Krishna, anta Krishna, bahir gauram. Internally Krishna, black, and externally golden, Gaura. In other words, Krishna himself, but with the sentiment, with the mood of Srimati Radharani. And his most unique position is this. That is more than Krishna. In the 9th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord has said that I am subordinate to my devotees. And in the 1st canto here, later, a few verses later, he says that the bathing in the Ganga that has to be done many times for purification. But the association of devotees, of true saints, for even a second, that is efficacious for such a purification that cannot be equaled by any other method. So, many times, at least I know for myself, I've read where Srila Prabhupada has written in these pages, in these purports, that one can approach this Supreme Lord Bhagavan, Vasudeva, by the grace of pure devotee. I used to think that Srila Prabhupada is being humble. We all know he's the only pure devotee. So he's just saying we should approach through a pure devotee. Well, we have already done that. We've got him. Now let us see what is the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam further. What is the Leela? But I've come recently to find that the very message of the Srimad Bhagavatam is to simply approach the holy feet of the pure devotee. The very message, the very gist of it is that. And of all the devotees, the highest is Srimati Radharani. However, we find that her name has not been mentioned once in the Srimad Bhagavatam, nor directly has Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name been mentioned, seemingly not directly. But he has been alluded to as Channavatar in the 7th canto by Prahlad Maharaj, for the concealed incarnation. So this leads us to think in this way, just as our Gurudev always warned us, do not rush too quickly. Devotees used to say, can we be a tree, can we be a cow, can we be this and that in Goloka Vrindavan? He would say, when you cannot follow 4 regulated principles and chant 16 rounds, then why are you asking me these questions? Then I've also heard that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he was asked the same question, can you please tell us who you are? He used to reply, can you please show me who you are? So, and we are warned in the Srimad Bhagavatam that the highest things, such as are found in the 10th canto, are very, very confidential, and one may not tamper with them unless there is special sanction from above. Still, our Gurudev, as I was saying, he also warned us in that way, and we find that the highest things are guarded in a very, very meticulous way. They are guarded by the lofty walls of the Sanskrit language, in some cases the Bengali language. They are guarded by scriptures which are difficult to find. Sukadeva Goswami does not directly mention so many affairs. Even our Gurudev sometimes warns us, don't read these books unless you've read my books. Although in his books, if we only read them, he says, read those books. Then why is it that all these things have been so carefully guarded? In this verse, Janmadhyasyato Anvayat Itarata, 2 currents are explained. First of all, this whole cosmic manifestation. Janma Adi means Shrishti Sthiti Pralaya, creation, maintenance and destruction. All these things, they come, from whom they come, that is Bhagavan Vasudeva. But the peculiar nature of his pastimes is given in 2 lines here, Anvayat and Itarata, or Anvayat and Vyatireka. That is the forward current, the forward pushing current. and Anvaya, that is Anvaya, envoy, and Itarata, the opposing current. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used this word, Itara, in a nice way in one song of his, who is a Vaishnava, Pushnamantami Keshara Vaishnava. He says, Mayavadi Jan Krishna Itaraman. Mayavadi Jan Krishna Itaraman. Those who are impersonalists, their heart is never inclined towards Krishna, always the other way. So we also have found that Adi Shankaracharya's work of propagating Mayavad philosophy, that is also nourishing. When the Lord says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata avyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam shajamiham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam. So in the line of paritranaya sadhunam, to protect my devotees, to assist my devotees, I come. Dharma sangstarpanataya, re-establish the principles of Dharma. And in the negative line, to annihilate the miscreants. So Adi Shankara's mission is helping to keep the miscreants away from disturbing the devotees by preaching Mayavad philosophy. So he is also assisting on the order of Narayan. In this respect, we find that the negative line of the Lord's pastimes are represented. Anvay and Itara, the positive side and the negative side. In the same way, so many friends, we have found that the great mission that was established by our Gurudev seems to be experiencing some kind of peculiar negative current. So many thousands who came to the feet of that great Guru, that great Acharya, giving up everything, have now, even having given up everything, have now had to go to unknown quarters, have been feeling cast off to unknown quarters. Some, having given up everything, are now taking up the things which they gave up to approach him. And others, they are still trying to continue that great mission, even not able to do so within the framework of that great structure which our Gurudev created. So there's a backwards current, itarata. At the same time, we're all aware that nothing goes, not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. So in some respect, we are to try and conceive that His sweet will is also being enacted. So this brings me to the first point. To our vision, at least those friends of us who came here tonight, by your grace, we have found that unless the original conception of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is preached very strongly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being the ideal preacher of the Srimad Bhagavatam, unless his original main trunk line is stressed more and more at this critical period in the history of history, it will be in the future, but in this critical period of Vaishnavism in the world, unless this is done, we will find that our sampradaya will become overrun with caste Goswamis, Prakrita Sahajas, impersonalists, and even karmis who will take the sacred dress of the Vaishnava, and it will be again reduced, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur told maybe 200 years ago, that when one heard of a Vaishnava in Bengal, they would think of a person who was something like a scantily clad savage and who painted his body for something like war paint, and a person whose habits at home were most despicable and below the standard of even the most general man in the street. Such thing I read, cast in his words, of course, in one of his books. Many of you might have also seen that. On his lecture about the Bhagavad, perhaps. Even Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, when we went to school, we were taught that the Bhagavatam was something to be abhorred, something to be hated. But how such an admission would come from one of the great acharyas of our line is only to prove that his true conception of the Bhagavatam is undaunted by all these things, by all these spurious, aggressive attempts from the plane of misconception. So, in this way, Srila Bhaktivinoda also, he very conclusively shattered all other conceptions which tried to unceremoniously complete with that of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we have also heard from Srila Sridhar Maharaj that his Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he declared war, as Prabhupada used to say, war against the illusory energy, war against Maya. He used to say many times, to declare war against, to preach is to declare war against Maya. Srila Sridhar Maharaj taking it perhaps another step further for our edification, for our grateful edification, mentioned he declared war not only against the illusory energy, but against every other religious conception other than that of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This means that I Ching, tarot cards, Christianity, St. Francis and all the rest, unfortunately they'll have to go out the back door if we want to really embrace the holy feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and subsequently the Srimad Bhagavatam. How all these things have come up into the devotional community are beyond my imagination. I do not know what great fate, what glorious and beautiful trick of the illusory energy is befalling us all, that we have had to take shelter of all these spurious things which are just like jackals and wolves coming to devour the precious gem which our Gurudev gave us. How we have fallen so low. Of course, it may not be judicious nor even proper of me to say such strong words in the company of the exalted Vaishnavas and gentlemen, but I'm sure that at least the exalted will have pity on me and give their mercy in the respect of helping us to continue, or even at least begin, the great work of representing exclusively only the message of our Gurudev and his Gurudev and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is one. In this connection, although it's found in general that the whole environment has become like a battlefield and so many wounded and even dead are there with nary a glass of water, still we get some courage from, again, the words of Srimad Bhagavatam. There is one verse in the conversation between Lord Krishna and Uddhav, Shopadamulam bhajata priyasya kyakjanya sarvasya hari paresya vikarmajat chot katitam katanchit cha utpatitam katanchit dunoti sarvam hridi sannivishta. Uddhava says, if one takes shelter of the holy feet of Lord Krishna, giving up all other conceptions, and I have tried to explain, unless we take shelter of the holy feet of Mahaprabhu, we cannot approach the feet of Lord Krishna. So, the karma, if by chance, katanchit utpatitam, if by bad company or by bad previous karma or something like that. A devotee, he happens to commit some vikarma or sinful activity. But once having taken shelter at the holy feet of the Lord and his representatives, even having committed some sinful activity, the Lord himself within the heart of that devotee, he destroys all that to zero, to nil. He brings it down, crashing to the ground. He totally, utterly finishes off any vikarma without even the devotee undergoing prayaschita or reformation, atonement. So therefore, this gives us great hope that the mission of our Gurudev and Mahaprabhu will be executed in a very glorious and radiant way, if only we remember their holy feet without going to any other spurious conceptions. For example, we've discussed it many times with friends in the last few years, maybe you have too, that the four regulative principles that Srila Prabhupada used to very emphatically preach, which are actually given as 5 in the Bhagavatam, the 5th one being not to accumulate too much money or gold. Those principles are actually not the principles of Vaishnavism, to abstain from these things, but they're only the principles of morally stout human beings. I was told that Srila Prabhupada once told that gentleman, Swarup Damodar Prabhu, that I am just trying to make one of these animals into a human being. So the fact that we had to vow so solemnly before a fire ceremony, even though a fire ceremony, to consider a fire ceremony on the same level as chanting Hare Krishna is a nam aparad, which is number 8 of the 10 nam aparads. But making some solemnization, Srila Prabhupada made us bow solemnly in the presence of that fire, which fire was a very minor thing in the presence of the tulsi beads which had touched his hand, or even the Brahman thread which touched his hand. That we would follow these principles meticulously, no intoxication, gambling, illicit sex life, or animal slaughter. That was only to bring us to a moral fiber, to make us fit to begin the line of Brahminical culture, and then hopefully Vaishnavism. So this Vaishnavism depends only on the service to our Gurudev. Mahat kripa bina kono karme bhakti noy, it is told.